Welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio, where truth equals reality, and truth is often stranger than fiction.
Hello everyone, welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio. This is your host Royce, the Redneck Radio Man. Joining me today is going to be Jeff Belange, and I'm going to ask him if that's the correct, pardon the tongue-tied there, correct pronunciation as soon as he calls in, but he has not yet joined me. I'm figuring to see the Jeff Belange or Jeff Ballinger. I'm not sure. Pardon me, folks. Hang on just one second. I'm not sure the pronunciation, but at any rate, he's going to be one of the keynote speakers at the Central Texas Paranormal Conference, and I got tongue-tied on that one for a second as well. But anyway, it's going to be coming up in July. In fact, I got that web page already opened up. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, it's October 8th and 9th, 2011. That's just a couple of weeks from now. And while we're waiting for him to come on, let me mention that Dustin Perry's going to be there of Ghost Hunters International. The Kling brothers are going to be there of Ghost Lab. And their show still airs on Planet Green, by the way. Also, special guest Aaron Houdini is going to be there, and he's the great-nephew of Harry Houdini. And in fact, I hope you folks come back tomorrow night. We're going to have Aaron Houdini on, talking about his part in the conference. Also, as you already told you, Jeff Belange, our guest tonight, who's going to join me in a few minutes, is going to be there. And his website is ghostvillage.com. And Fiona Broom's going to be there of hollowhill.com. Dash Barely, known as the Ghost Man of Galveston, is going to be there. And we're going to talk about his part in there and his Ghost Tours of Galveston. Janine Plummer's going to be there of Haunted Texas. And she gives haunted tours of Austin. And Dr. Rita Louise is going to be there. She's a clairvoyant and soul healer. And, if y'all want to hold the line, I think that's my guest calling in now. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, how are you, Royce?
I'm doing pretty good. We're live on the air, and I was just telling my guest about some of the speakers that's going to be at the conference in Austin. I believe that's October 9th to the 11th. I just had it at the top of the page and told them. And I just got down as far as Rita Louise, who's a clairvoyant and a soul healer. And she's also the host of Just Energy Radio. And special guests Andy Kopek and Michelle Brown of Boldly Go Research are also going to be there. So it's a pretty promising event. And Jeff, I was telling them that you're here tonight to tell us about your part in the conference, as well as I thought we could get a chance to talk about your new book, The World's Most Haunted Places.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Actually, I had a chance to read some of the book, but I haven't had a chance to finish it. But it was some really interesting stuff, especially the Spaghetti Warehouse, which is right here in my back door.
You're in Houston.
Yes, sir, I am.
My goodness, I used to go to Houston 4 times a year, and there's another place, another favorite haunt of mine, because they also serve beer. It's La Carafe. Have you been there?
No, but oddly enough, I was born and raised here. Janine Plummer was telling me about this place, and as I understand it, it's not really that far from the Spaghetti Warehouse, and it's probably just as haunted, if not more so.
Yeah, no, it's Houston, first of all, there's no city, no state, no town in the world, really, that is immune from hauntings. If there's people that have been there, lived there, died there, that leaves a mark. And those marks turn into stories, and stories turn into legends, and people talk about this stuff. And so, it's a wonderful part of our culture, our history, our legend, even our spirituality. And it's a great topic. It's a great way to explore a city is through the eyes of its ghosts.
I would tend to agree with you, and it's definitely an interesting and a fun way to explore it. I was going to mention to you that you're not the only beer drinker around here. Well, actually, I'm not one anymore, but I did used to.
Well, I've been to, like I said, I've been to Houston a bunch, and I know for certain I'm not the only beer drinker around.
No. This city's full of them.
I used to go down there and see a buddy of mine. He made his own beer and had enough guns to stock a small army, which I know doesn't narrow it down much there in Texas, but we would drink his beer and then shoot his guns in that order. And boy, I felt like a Texan.
Yeah, I tell you what, they still shoot those guns every year at the New Year.
Man, oh man, I got to get down there for one New Year one of these days.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, you might pass through here while you're en route to Austin and back.
Yeah, I don't know where the plane's going. I'm just going to get on and see where it takes me.
Oh, you're flying in.
Yeah. Oh, I live up in New England.
Oh, my goodness. You're traveling all the way from New England for this conference?
Of course I am. I wouldn't miss it. You kidding? Texas. Got to get down there. Texas ghosts are, they're bigger in Texas, aren't they?
That's what I've heard. I've not actually seen a ghost myself, although we've had air conditioners that turned on when nobody was in the room and doors open and shut and things fall and stuff like that. Pretty much.
I gotta be honest with you, Royce. My air conditioner goes on by itself too, but it's on one of those little fancy thermostats that tell it, when the temperature goes up, kick on.
Oh no, this is one of those old turn down models, and it had to click 6 times to the right to get to the high switch where it was at.
That sounds like an OCD problem, doesn't it? Just
OCD?
Click it 6 times and you get yes, obsessive compulsive disorder.
Oh, okay.
Click it 6 times before it shuts off. No, just me. Never mind. I digress. I'm a little punchy. It's been a real long couple of days, but no, I'm excited to get down to Austin and get to this conference. You go to these things. They're so much fun to attend. As I'm sure you know, you get to meet people that are fans of the subject. You make a lot of great connections. Just that part of it, that human interaction part, is just great. I wouldn't change it for anything.
Well, I can gather that you do enjoy this a whole lot. I read your introduction in your book, and you could tell from reading it that you're really heavily into the ghostly phenomena and have been for many years, and you've traveled the world investigating this stuff, if I understood that introduction correctly. And you've actually had, 2 or 3 experiences or more yourself?
Yeah, and that's it. In 15 years of doing this, I started writing about ghosts when I worked for a newspaper back in the mid-1990s, and I was a reporter. And around October, you go looking for ghost stories, for features, and that's really what got me hooked on all this. And so, that turned into a website called GhostVillage.com back in 1999. I wanted a place to put all of these great stories I'd been collecting for the newspapers, and that just kind of evolved from there. The website turned into books, and books into lectures, and the lectures and the books into working for Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel and all this other stuff. And it's turned into, somehow, I never planned it this way, it's turned into a career, and I love it. I wouldn't do anything else. Exploring the legends, the history, the who, what, when, where, why of the whole thing is just I'll never stop being so fascinated by this. It's an awesome topic, and I've really branched out too in recent years. I mean, I love ghosts. I've loved ghostly legends and stories, but I'm also very interested in other paranormal phenomena. I love the UFO stuff, the cryptozoology stuff, all of it. I mean, at some point you have to say, all right, am I in this or am I in this? And if you're going to accept one thing, you better look into everything.
Well, yeah, you're going to be missing something if you don't, that's for sure. I'm at your ghostvillage.com website right now, and if you mouse over the library link, you can see your archives go all the way back to 2002. So you're looking at least 9 years worth of archives right there. Yeah,
it's been it started as 6 web pages, and now it's over 50,000 pages of content if you include the message board. So you couldn't read it in a year if you tried to, but it's really, I'll take credit for starting it, but it's become a global community of people from all over the world who share their experiences. They share their thoughts and opinions on the subject, and we've always welcomed all sides of it: the skeptical, the religious, the folklore, the legend, the investigative, the scientific, everything in between. It's just because who knows? I mean, I don't have the answers, and if you don't have the answers, I think you owe it to yourself to look at a subject from all angles.
Yeah, I was reading in your introduction that you welcomed skepticism like that, and I thought that was a wonderful thing because there's growth through skepticism, in my opinion.
Sure, but sometimes too, like I've noticed over the years, there are people, and these are people who call themselves. It's almost weird. They're like professional skeptics. At some point, you realize they're not really skeptics. They're operating from a devout belief system, often called atheism. And atheism is a belief system. It's as rigorous as Christianity or Judaism or any other. And it forces you to speak from a belief system, to say I don't believe it, therefore it can't be so, which is just belief. And that's okay. Belief is powerful. Belief is good. Who knows what happens after we die and what comes next and all that fun stuff. But if you're going to call yourself a skeptic, I think you need to be open to possibilities. You can't say the Indian Ocean doesn't exist because you've never seen it. I mean, lots of other people have.
Right.
So, it seems kind of egocentric and conceited to say, it doesn't exist to me. I've never seen the Indian Ocean, therefore it cannot exist.
Well, yeah, and there's a fine line between a debunker and a skeptic. A skeptic is somebody that, has a healthy, amount of questioning for everything that comes across this table instead of the one that buys into everything. And a debunker is one that just says, well, my Bible says this can't be real, or this says this can't be real, or science says this can't be real, therefore it can't be, without checking out anything beyond what they've already heard.
Yeah, of course, right. And I'm not knocking any of those belief systems. By all means, lots of people take great comfort in it. It enriches their lives in lots of ways. And hey, I understand. Even the paranormal can become a belief system to some degree. I realized years ago I was out on a paranormal investigation. I was tagging along with a ghost hunting group. We're out in this cemetery in the middle of the night, and we've got EMF meters beeping, and we're taking pictures of orbs, really moisture and dust in the outside. And I realized, I went, wow, these people are at church. They're getting their spirituality out here. They couldn't find it in a religious institution. They couldn't find it in a mosque or synagogue or church. They found it in a graveyard with an EMF meter. And you believe the place to be haunted, your EMF meter spikes, and your beliefs are then validated. I'm not saying that ghosts always trigger EMF meters. I'm not saying they don't either. The jury's out with me. However, I will say that I realized that belief and spirituality can never be removed from the discussion of ghosts. And like I tell some of my friends that research this stuff and talk about it, for conferences and things, and you would never want to remove the campfire from the ghost story. You can't. You always have to have that tradition, because the story is always part of it. The reason any ghost hunter ever went anywhere, any TV show you've ever seen, any of that stuff, is because first and foremost you heard a story that gripped you in your soul somewhere, that stirred you, and you said, I got to go check this out.
Yeah, I've heard of those kind of stories myself. I've had many of them I wanted to go check out, including the Spaghetti Warehouse. And, I saw you mention in here that there were tours at the Spaghetti Warehouse, and I'm not sure which tours you're referring to, because I know that Senator Lords normally hosts ghost tours there, but I'm not sure if anybody else does or not.
I got to tell you, the Spaghetti Warehouse, when I first wrote about that, was back in 2003. So what you have there is the revised edition of the World's Most Haunted Places, and that was in the original edition. I've added to it. I've made updates and things like that. So it is possible that tours that were going on in 2003 aren't happening anymore. I apologize if I...
Oh, no. There's still tours there. Sandra Lords is doing it. I don't know who was doing it back then. It might have been her then, too.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, her name is familiar. I think I've been in touch with her before, and I've gotten the chance over the years to talk to literally thousands of people about this topic, and it's amazing. It's this thing that kind of binds us all together when you share these stories with one another, and it's part of part of why we're here is to explore this stuff.
Yeah, and I believe he was mentioning, you know what, we just had a phone call and it just disappeared right when I looked up. I was looking in your book, real quick, like to ask some questions out of it, and I looked up and it showed that there was a phone call on the board, and it disappeared just as I looked up, and I'm like, oh my God, I missed it.
No, you know what, they'll call back. I just posted on Twitter to call me. That's all I said, call me, and I put the number.
Oh.
People think it's my home number, so you're probably getting that phone call and the hang up like, oh, really?
It could be. Well, I don't have a recording on that, so I don't know what they're thinking when they call, but this is actually a Skype phone number. I use Skype to broadcast from my laptop up to the website.
Right, that's funny. Well, cool. We'll see. Someone will call in, I'm sure. People are posting and reposting on Twitter and Facebook, so maybe someone will call in and say hi, because it's fun to talk to people.
Yeah, I agree. I've had some interesting call-ins in my time. I've been hosting this show since December of 2006 over at Blog Talk Radio, and I only recently, started streaming my own site, in other words. Yeah,
well, that's great. And it's great that you have this avenue to explore it. And you bring on guests, you learn something, you ask your questions, and your mind opens a little more each time.
Well, here comes a caller now.
There you go.
Caller, you're on the air. Well, did it call take? I clicked on her to add the conversation. Yeah, it shows that she's on. Caller, you're on the air. Can you hear?
Too bad.
Well, it's showing that she's on, but some odd reason she can't seem to hear the call.
I bet it was someone great, too.
Or he can't, she or he, I might have said that the wrong way. I don't know what happened. Maybe they were having difficulty on their end, or maybe Skype had a glitch in it. You know how that goes.
Yeah, sure, that can happen. But anyway, hopefully people keep trying. We'll get someone on here.
Well, here comes another one. Let's try this again. Caller, you're on the air.
Who is this?
Who is this?
This is Royce, and you're talking to Royce, and Jeff Belanger's with me. Is that pronounced Belanger, Jeff?
I pronounce it Belange, but just don't call me late for dinner. You can call me Jeff, Royce. We're good.
Okay.
Who's this? Who's calling?
This is Julie.
Hi, Julie. Oh, Julie.
I know Julie. I was intrigued.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Do you have a question? Because you're live on the air. There's literally 7 billion people listening to you right now. Every human on the planet.
I was going to say that's more people than are actually in the world.
Yes. There's unborn children listening to you right now. Go.
No, I don't have a question. I just had morbid curiosity to see where this number was going to bring me.
Well, thanks for calling.
So I'm useless for you. I'm sorry.
Well, good call.
Okay.
Thanks, Julie.
Right.
Thanks for saying hi.
Have a good night, guys. Bye.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I take it you know her?
Yeah, no, Julie goes to lots of the conferences and stuff, and it's funny. I guess, let me be perfectly honest. I didn't post a lot of information. I just said, hey, call me, and I put your call-in number. And so I'm sure lots of people think it's a personal phone of mine. So it's probably going to be some awkwardness. But I think that's kind of funny.
Well, yeah, it is. And, humor's always a good thing.
Yeah. No, can't take it too seriously. You'll go crazy.
Well, I think I just accidentally called her when I was trying to disconnect the line.
Goodness gracious.
Okay, I think...
if she answers, just say, is your refrigerator running, and then hang up.
Well, too late. I just hung up. Are you still there, Jeff?
I'm still here.
Okay, just making sure I disconnected her line and not your line by mistake. But yeah, at any rate, I also took the liberty before you called in while I was waiting to get some of your websites up in the address bar so I could just open them up and paste them in the chat room. And I also had the websites up on the front page. You got www.ghostvillage.com, www.jeffbelanger.com, and right. thelegendtripping.com, and I also got www.ctparacon.com for the conference people. And I'm going to be pasting these in the chat room. They're also on the front page for anybody that would like to click on them and check this out. And I don't want to let you escape me, Jeff, without asking you a little bit more about this legend tripping. It's new to me.
Yeah, no, legend tripping is it's something that I think we're evolving into in the paranormal field, and it's not a new term, and it's certainly not a new idea. The term goes back a few decades, and it's a term that folklorists used for ostension, which is kind of like a teenage rite of passage thing. So you remember, you're 13 years old, you're having a sleepover, and you heard that the cursed headstone, if you knock on it 3 times at midnight, the witch comes out and gets you, and so you sneak out of the house and you go try it. That kind of thing. You're trespassing, you're breaking the rules. In reality, so I've taken the term, and without any apologies, I've rebranded it, changed the definition slightly to really becoming one with the story, one with the legend, because everything paranormal starts with a story. Someone tells you about a UFO abduction. Travis Walton talks to you about his UFO abduction out in the out in the American Southwest. It gets made into a movie. Something about it sounds true to you, sounds compelling enough that you want to go there and check it out. And not just check it out, but become a part of that story by doing so. With haunts, same thing. You hear about these legendary haunted places all over. The Alamo and Waverly Hills Sanatorium and, the Queen Mary in California. These places that come up again and again. You hear they're haunted. You hear people's specific tales of what they encountered there, and you want to go there for yourself. So really, it's about stripping down this paranormal research thing to just the experience, about being there, appreciating, knowing the history of what took place there, talking to the people that have seen and experienced these things firsthand, and writing your own chapter into that story. Because in reality, you're going to hear about something, and you're going to go there, and you're going to come back, and you might tell your friends, you know what, I didn't see or feel anything ghostly. I don't think that place is that haunted at all. Or you may come back and say, whoa, I saw something. I saw something I can't explain, and you have a new, chapter to write into that. It's really, it's about the story and about the experience, about getting back to that. I think, especially in ghosts, so many people got caught up in all the equipment and all the gear that's so expensive, and we don't always know what's setting off this gear, but it diminished the human experience, which is really the most profound part of this. And so it's kind of urging everyone to get back to it. And you don't need a group, you don't need matching T-shirts, you don't need thousands of dollars in equipment. You can just get up there and go do it yourself, tomorrow.
Wow, that sounds pretty exciting. What all do they cover at the actual website itself? I mean, is that an area where people to share their experiences?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can go, you can read about other legends, you can share your own local legends. Everything starts with something secondhand. It starts with, well, I heard that this place is a UFO hotspot, or that Bigfoot's been seen in this region. And from there you go, you look for the specifics, and you build. A legend is a real living, breathing thing, indisputably real. The legend is something that's created collectively by all of us. And the way it stays alive is if people continue to have experiences. So, for example, if I said, I was down by George R. Brown Convention Center this morning in the middle of Houston, and I saw the Loch Ness Monster and Elvis and Bigfoot dancing a jig in the middle of the road. A legend was born right there, live on your show, Royce. But that legend's going to be dead, long before this show ends tonight, because number one, it's ridiculous. Number two, it didn't happen. Number three, and most importantly, no one else will have that experience. And also, anyone who heard that is probably not going to share that information. Not going to say, hey, guess what I heard? I seriously heard that the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and Elvis are right outside George R. Brown Convention Center. It's not going to happen. And so the legend is going to be dead on arrival. But when something does happen, when there is a legend that says, whoa, I heard this building's haunted by a little girl in a red dress, and someone else goes there who has no connection to the first person and experiences the same thing, the legend grows. It becomes stronger, it becomes bigger. And then maybe one of these ghost shows on the various television networks comes in and does a show on it. Now the whole nation knows about it, and they're coming to check it out. And the legend gets bigger and stronger. It's a real entity. It can move, it can go dormant and sleep, and it can die. And the only way a legend dies is if we stop talking about it. And sometimes that can take 50 or 100 years to happen, sometimes just a few weeks.
Especially when you got writers like yourself that write books about them. And what happens is even if somebody quits talking about the book you got out now, you'll have a revised edition come out, or somebody else will write on it, like, say, Bob Curran, who's wrote on the world's creepiest places. But, but basically there's always writers that help keep these legends going.
Of course. Well, we hear about them, like we hear about them from the people we talk to, and, It's one of these things that just, the stories make the radar, and they make radar when more people talk about them. And they're so compelling. They're a direct connection to our past. They're a way to bond with each other to the present, and they're a way to explore the inevitable future, because we're all going to croak one day, and ghosts are kind of a safe way to talk about it. And also you can strip out all the dogma and all the luggage that religion has. You want to stop a room cold, walk in and go, "Hey, can I tell everybody about my religion?" And everyone just cringes and goes, "Oh no, please don't do that," But you can walk into a room and say, "Hey, I hear this place is haunted down the street. Can I tell you about it?" And everyone's eager to hear that, because there's no dogma or no luggage with that.
Well, that is true, and even I hate to say this, but even different Christians from different churches will cringe when somebody comes in and talks about it, because each church has its own unique dogma.
Yeah, it's of course they do, and it's really it's something, and you realize too that it's too bad that lots of religious groups don't get along and things like that, because at the end of the day, we're all heading down the same road. Every single human being on this planet is going down the road, and at the end of the road is death. It's one of your two guarantees in life, right? The other's taxes. And you're heading down this road. Some of us are way ahead, some of us are way behind, and most of us are in the middle somewhere. And it's coming. And what comes next is something that we'll all figure out one day. We'll all get there and figure it out for sure. But boy, people hate not knowing something. And that's where religions can fill in. That's where, other things can start to jump in, belief, spirituality, all that fun stuff. So it's too bad that we can't kind of look at it as a bigger picture, but maybe ghosts allow us to do that. Maybe talking about haunts and haunted places allow us to say, yeah, well, maybe something does hang around. And if something does hang around, does that mean there really is life after death? And if there's life after death, what does that mean for me?
That you're going to live after death. But
well, here's hoping, because I don't know, I'm having fun. I want to keep doing this.
Thing is, are you going to live in the same way? Are you going to return to Earth? Are you going to go to hell? Are you going to go to heaven? Are you going to float out in limbo? You still got a lot of unanswered questions, even if you accept life after death.
Of course, right, yeah, but something there, and that's a big conclusion to reach, the whole question of heaven and hell and all that. I don't know. Do you want to go to heaven, or do you want to be with your friends for all eternity? Just saying. It's the crowd I roll with.
That was really kind of interesting for me. A few days ago, one of my children's friends was over here, and I was getting on to him for something he did wrong. I was preaching at him, and then he told me about having done the right thing later, and the reason he gave for doing it was not the right reason, and I was talking to him about it, and he asked me, he says, well, what difference does it make why you do something, whether it's for the right reason or the wrong reason, as long as you do what's right?
Yeah, well, of
and
course.
I thought to myself, I said, you know what? That's a flaw within the heaven and hell doctrine right there, because if people are only good because they don't want to go to hell, or only good because they want to go to heaven, when are people good for the right reason, or because it's the right thing to do, or because they love humanity, or you know what I'm saying?
Right. Sure. You know what? I don't know. I'm hoping for that whole deathbed confession kind of thing to just clear my slate at the end.
Yeah, you and how many others?
Quick, call in the priest, the rabbi, the imam, get them all in here, because I'm playing every card right now.
I hear Constantine did that.
Yeah, of course, darn right. Confessions, great book.
But at any rate, I wanted to ask you about your the role you're going to play. I know you're going to be speaking at this conference, but are you going to be taking part in the ghost investigation or doing anything else as well?
Sure, if they ask me to, I'd be glad to. I love doing that. I hope to be a part of it. I know at lots of other events I've led investigations, and for people that are new to this, I'm happy to kind of give a little bit of guidance, and I try to give as little as possible, because I think in reality, I mean, who knows anything at the end of the day? I mean, I can tell you, if you want to go into a haunted place and you're going to be a fool and be a loudmouth like me, I hate competition, so don't do it. But and you're not going to get results, but really, when I do this, it's 3 people is usually the max that I go into an investigation with, because, you can control the environment then, if you really want to do something serious. But that doesn't mean you can't, legend trip, that you can't get a taste of it. We turn out the lights, we see what we feel, hear, experience, all that stuff. And sometimes, too, with all those people in the room, it creates an energy, a dynamic that I don't know what you want to believe, but maybe something feeds off it. Things do happen, even in large groups.
Yeah, I know that, I think it was last year, some friends of mine, went on an investigation at one of the hotels up there in Dallas. I forget exactly where, but, according to them, things got pretty, scary. Pardon me. It's that, pollen season right here in Houston.
Sure.
But at any rate, they were talking like there was a few hair-raising experiences, at the motel. It made it on Google News, but I forget exactly what it was right now, though.
Yeah, no, it's there's so many great haunts and so many, haunted places, and it's worth, if you have an interest, I say do it. Get out there and try it. Have this experience. You might find you like it. You might find you learn something about yourself, and that's the coolest part, really. It's a social experience. It's a sociological experience, and when you grow from it, when you realize, wow, I feel like I touched something. I feel like I've learned something about myself. That's the best life experiences of all. And I can tell you too, the lights are out. People have all this various gear, and lots of people have night vision cameras. I can't tell you how many times people get caught messing around on night vision cameras in these dark, scary places. I don't know what it is, man, but couples just get frisky, and they get caught.
Well, if you're anything like me, Jeff, you live in the land of possibility and probability more than you do in the world of actuality.
Yeah, it's, you know what? I don't know. I like it here. I have friends here. It's, paranormal pursuits are asking the big questions, and I can't think of anything I'd rather be doing than exploring that stuff.
Well, sure. It's the journey.
Yeah, of course it is. And it's big. It's real big. It's not, we're not the first to do it. My goodness, this goes back for as long as there have been people. There's been people talking about the paranormal and the strange and unusual. And we're just a part of the story, and there'll be lots more after us too.
Oh yeah. I'll be honest with you. Part of what keeps me drawn to paranormal, where the church couldn't hold me, which the church couldn't hold me for a lot of reasons, but one of the main things that keeps me stuck in this one here is, when you're in church, they have all the answers for you. They tell you what they are. You can read them in the Bible, and there's no mystery left. When you get into the paranormal, you never get to get all the answers, and your journey never ends.
Yeah, of course. And people who, tell you they do know what happens and do have the answers are probably selling something. Which reminds me, you should all buy my book this weekend. Thank you very much. Answers
Actually,
on page
I would
42.
recommend it. From what I've seen of the book so far, I would recommend it. It's a very interesting book. You got some real hair-raising tales in this there book. What was that one lady's name? Annie Palmer in the Caribbean?
Oh yeah, sure. The White Witch of Rose Hall down in Montego Bay, Jamaica.
Yeah, that one. I mean, boy, there's a woman I wouldn't want to marry.
Yeah, no, it's the funny thing about Annie Palmer, the White Witch, is that she's really kind of like the boogeyman of Jamaica. Jamaican kids, she was there centuries ago, plantation owner, killed her husbands, would take slaves as lovers and then kill them, just this bloodthirsty, awful, creature, and buried in an above-ground crypt with crosses on all sides but one. And the story goes that her spirit escaped. And, they've brought in voodoo priests and things like that to try to get her spirit in there and put that last cross on the last side to contain her. And they have yet to do so. So she's become way bigger than just a local ghost story. Little kids are told, eat your vegetables or go to bed and go to sleep or the White Witch will get you, Annie Palmer. And given that she's got historic roots there, you can go see Rose Hall, you can see where she lived. That suddenly becomes very real to a child. It becomes a very real threat. The boogeyman is just this generic thing here in this country, but Annie Palmer, that monster's got roots.
She really existed. She sounded a lot worse than Marie Laveau.
Yeah, well, Marie Laveau is just a voodoo queen in New Orleans. Come on. You never know when you need a little juju, a little gree-gree. Who are you going to call?
Well, I heard some legends about her being a killer, but maybe those are just legends.
Well, yeah, it's when someone practices something that is outside of your belief system, that's as old as the hills. You call them a witch. You call them a monster. I mean, think about the Puritans in Salem in 1692.
That's very true.
in that case, that was mainly a land grab and politics as opposed to actual witchcraft. But the reality is, if you practice something spiritual that doesn't look like what the rest of us do, you're a witch.
Yep, that's very true in the eyes of certain parties. Oh, we got a call coming in. Let's go ahead and see who this is. Caller, you're on the air.
Come on. Talk
Hello?
to us. Breaker
Caller?
19. Breaker.
I think he went breaker. Was that you?
That was me.
Oh. Well, maybe he's bashful.
Or she.
Or she. I don't know. A minute ago I kept wanting to say she. Now I keep wanting to say he.
Are you psychic?
I don't know.
I knew you were going to say that. Kidding. I have no idea. How many fingers am I holding up?
3.
You're wrong. It's none. I was too lazy.
Oh, hey, that proves I'm not psychic.
Yep, done. Well, good. We can move on.
But I was going to say, I noticed when reading your book, one of the things I did like about it is you put the contact information you had underneath the pictures of all these. If it was a phone number, you gave that. If it was a web address, you gave it. If it was both, you gave both. Whatever you had, you make it easy for people to contact these if they want to, make an arrangement to go on a tour or, set up an investigation or ask questions or whatever. You gave them everything they need to contact everybody.
Yeah, well, I wanted to stick to mainly places that the public can actually go to. I think it's kind of a tease to talk about, well, there's this amazing haunt and all this incredible stuff happens, but it's a private residence and I can't even tell you where it is. You can never see it or go there. Because then suddenly people might accuse you of making stuff up, which is not a good thing in my business. So, wanted to stick to public places and here's the reality. The ghost stories come from places where there are people who live or work there. If there's no people, there will be no ghost stories. It's like if the tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? The answer is, who cares? Right? The answer is, it's irrelevant if it makes a sound or not because no one's there to hear it. So no one's there to report. So ghosts might be haunting the heck out of some building, but if there's no people that work there, that live there, that go by there and see them, we're never going to know. So we need people, we need history, we need backstory, we need witnesses, and we need some kind of phenomenon that continues over time.
Okay, Jeff, I just clicked a line while you were talking before I lost the call because it was flashing. Caller, are you on the air?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, Jeff. This is Noah. I follow you on Twitter and Facebook, and I've been looking at your new book, and you talk a lot about haunted places. I was wondering, what's your experience with haunted people, and do you think there is such a thing?
Haunted people? Yeah, sure. I know there's an old saying, that places aren't haunted, people are, which I think is incorrect, and the evidence completely, shatters that because there's locations that have similar phenomena that get reported again and again over great periods of time, which means it's at the place and not the people. But there are people, I do accept that there are people that seem to be haunted, that seem to have, things following them, although I would be more inclined to believe that those people are probably more sensitive than others. And these ghosts might be everywhere, but some people are seeing them and people like myself are not, quite so often. So I would think that in most cases you're just dealing with someone who is sensitive and seeing these things, and I'm sure it can be quite frightening to someone who doesn't understand it, or a lot of people don't, as cool as we think it is, a lot of people don't want to see ghosts. That's not very comforting, especially when you get out of the shower, which is exactly where I was on. I'm like, man, dude, I'm changing here, my God, let's bring the exorcist in there. Just keep him out of the bathroom. That's all I ask. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think you're being haunted, Noah? Do tell. Share with the group.
No, actually, I don't think I'm being haunted. But with all the increased interest in exorcisms and the whole demonology aspect of the paranormal, I was kind of wondering where you were with that.
Yeah, actually, there's so many demonologists now that I've decided I'm a Satanologist, and I won't get out of bed for anything less than the big dog. So if you've got those other demons, you can call the other guys. I have no interest at all. But when you've got the big dog himself, you call in the Satanologist, and I will be there.
Sounds good, Jeff. Thank you so much.
All right, take care, Noah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling in, Noah.
Yes. Satanologist extraordinaire. I'm ready.
I got to tell you, he caught my interest because I never really thought about it before. But my understanding of this from the time I've spent studying paranormal phenomena and my time in the church is that there's actually a difference between a demon possession and a person being haunted.
Sure. And there's also if you talk to my true demonology friends, and I do have them, I'm not just mocking them, although I do mock them, but also to their face. There's different levels. There's attachment, there's oppression, and then possession is the worst, the full on. And so they tell me, where it's everything from just an influence in a person's life to something that's kind of always there, and to something that's really inside and needs something serious going on. So, interesting, right? And of course, when it comes to something really strange like that, we're going to lean on our religious upbringing because we have nothing else. Science doesn't have textbooks for this. For when we think something evil is in a person, or even something benign like it's just a regular ghost. But one thing I do have a slight concern with is that, a few years ago when all the ghost shows started back in 2004 or so, ghosts were enough. Ghosts were really interesting, and you could look for them, and that's what had everybody intrigued. And lately, it's as Noah said, it's turning dark. Everything has to be a demon now, not just a ghost, because ghosts don't get the ratings they once did. Which is a shame. I just don't believe there's that many demons running around. Who knows, though? I mean, who am I to say?
I know I'm not the right person to say unless it's happening in front of me. I have little knowledge other than what I read, but still I read some interesting things, I got to tell you.
Yeah, no, of course. And the other thing, too, that people don't like to talk about, especially when it comes to the paranormal, is that a lot of this comes down to the perception of the witness. The witness, the person going through the event, is the single most important person in the whole equation. So, for example, I remember talking to some MUFON investigators, Mutual UFO Network. These guys go looking into UFO cases, abductions, and the like. Great folks, really interesting. They have a real game plan when it comes to this kind of stuff. And they were telling me they were working on this abduction case, and they were interviewing the family and doing their due diligence. And the family goes, oh, and by the way, we also think our house is haunted. And all the MUFON guys just kind of stop cold and go, oh, well, we don't do that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because they want to stick to UFOs, where most ghost hunters want to stick to ghost hunting. And people like you and me that want to cover everything is not as, you don't find as many of them.
Well, that's the thing. And so I said to myself, so you went in there with UFO-colored glasses. And the reality is, you want it to be an alien, whereas a ghost hunter may have gone in there and said, oh, you saw some gray mass moving towards you while you were sleeping and you felt paralyzed? Well, that's a demon attack. That's an incubus. That's a succubus. And a UFO person would say, no, that's a gray coming at you. You're going to have missing time. This was an attempted abduction. That's why you were paralyzed. And then, of course, a debunker or skeptic would say, no, that's temporary sleep paralysis combined with a hypnagogic hallucination.
There you go.
Knows? Yeah, and the reality is, the person who's right, the one person who's correct, the witness.
One that didn't say anything.
Yeah, right, yeah. No, the witness, because the witness experienced something profound that shook them to the core, and they reached the conclusion. Maybe they read UFO books and said, yep, it's a gray, it's an attempted abduction. Maybe they read ghost books and they said, oh, it's a demon or some kind of spirit attack. Or maybe they just don't believe in any of this stuff and they have to reach some other conclusion, and so they do. And whatever it is, it makes them feel better, because labeling it gives us some kind of sense of control. It's a false sense of control, granted, but it's a sense of control. It's almost like when you're sick and your doctor tells you what it is. Well, it's a cold. Well, okay, it's been identified, and there's nothing I can do but chicken soup and rest and all that other fun stuff. Labeling it makes us feel better, when in reality it doesn't do anything. It's just a label.
Right. Well, Jeff, I was going to mention we got another call coming in. Caller 315, you're on the air.
Where's 315?
Are you talking to me? Oh my God, I'm Christine from Twitter. I told you I was good call.
Oh, you're the best.
New York.
Christine in upstate New York. How are you? How's upstate New York?
It's raining, but it's beautiful.
Oh, that's nice. Do you drink Saranac beer?
I do. I love Saranac.
Aw, that's nice. Well,
Oktoberfest is out right now. So good.
So good. Well, save me a bottle.
I will. I can do that.
Did you call just to say hi, or do you have questions?
Well, I did just call to say hi, but I just heard the tail end of your conversation, and that was really intriguing. About, people coming up with their own conclusions, and you need to label things.
Yeah.
I've always had a question. Like, if you grew up and you were sheltered and you never learned what an alien was, or never learned what a ghost was, would you still be able to put that together if you had an experience like that, or would you come up with your own conclusion all by yourself and have a new realm of possibilities of things going on that we don't understand?
Very interesting question.
Christine, all of us are properties of every single moment of our lives up to this moment. And that's more than just your upbringing, So you may have been sheltered by your parents or this hypothetical person. I'm not saying you were, although I heard you were. Is that true?
I was not sheltered, trust me.
Oh, all right. Well, good. Your friend, we won't name her or him. And so you may have been raised sheltered, but the reality is you go to school, you have peers, you watch television shows. Somewhere along the way, you're going to hear about ghosts and aliens and things like that. And if you don't, actually, boy, that's a really interesting psychological experiment. How will you interpret that thing, that event that you experience? Most people, dig into their religion, they dig into their upbringing, their level of education, whatever it is, you dig into your luggage to deal with that. And we're not just talking just paranormal. I mean, think about issues of love, romantic issues. You meet someone and they behave a certain way and you react a certain way based on, what you think is right and wrong. Or in fear, someone pulls a gun on you to mug you. Are you going to try to kick the gun out of their hand, or are you going to just hand over the wallet quietly, or are you going to pull out the 870 and, turn them into Swiss cheese? Well, everybody's a little bit different. And so same with the paranormal. I think the reality is when someone sees something that big that just doesn't compute, that doesn't fit into the world view, you have to come up with some explanation as to what it is. And most of us, go with ghost or demon or alien or Royce in a little pink tutu coming at you in your dreams. No?
And there you go, giving away my secrets.
You look good in it. I think you own it.
I want pictures. I have to see pictures of this.
A little Photoshop. I'll have it done before the end of the show.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, thanks for calling. Have a Saranac for me.
I definitely will. Thank you for answering my call.
Thank you for calling in. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys again sometime, I'm sure.
All right.
Sounds like a winner to me.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, Jeff, that was a very interesting lady, and I thought that was a very interesting question she had because actually, with the movies being what they are, almost everybody goes to the movies as a childhood. It'd be hard not to at least see a poster hanging on the wall at the cinema of a picture of an alien or a ghost show or something to, put some influence from some source, in other words.
Of course. And, here's the other thing, too. I have a 4.5-year-old daughter. And, we talk about some of this stuff, and I'm very, very careful. I make a living, looking into ghosts. I believe they're real. They're a part of my reality. And I'm waiting for the day when her elementary school teacher will call me and say, it's around Halloween and they're telling all the kids ghosts aren't real. There's no such thing. And my daughter's hand's going to shoot up and it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Mr. Belange, can you come talk to your daughter?
Yeah, sure. I'd be glad to. I'm coming down. Coming to your aid, baby. Be right there. And, it's so, we talk about this stuff and it's funny because, I don't want to frighten her. It's very important that she feels safe and secure and, that she's okay. But when she wants, I just let her lead the discussion when she wants to talk about it. But I'll tell you, sometimes she says, let's go ghost hunting, Daddy. And what we do is we turn off the lights and we get flashlights and we just walk around our house and point the flashlight in various corners. And she usually says, I just don't see any ghosts. And I say, yeah, well, they're elusive, and I don't think they're here. Our house was built in 1996. It's one of the least haunted places on Earth, as far as I know. But it's just, I think it's kind of cool that she's. It's almost empowering for her, like, well, if I'm looking for them, then I'm in charge. Right. I'm the one leading the charge here. So kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. But we got another call coming in.
All right.
Area code 253. You're on the air.
What was that?
I'm not sure. Maybe somebody's having trouble with their phone.
Maybe they're an alien. I think 253 is Mars, if I recall. No.
Area code 253, can you hear us?
Breaker 19, operator.
I guess hang up and let her call back. Maybe they just disconnected. They must have been having trouble with their phone, or maybe it couldn't reach from Sirius or Mars or wherever to hear.
Yeah, you never know. But anyway, that's cool. It's cool that people get to call in. It's fun to talk to folks, and I'm so excited too about the Central Texas Paranormal Conference coming up in a couple of weeks. Speaking of talking to folks, it's a great lineup. There's a lot of interesting people that'll be there. I'm sure we'll have a great powwow. I'm sure there'll be a bar nearby where people can buy me drinks.
I tell you what, I'm the South Texas director over at United Paranormal International, the Southern Texas director, and I got wind over there about this conference. I didn't even know what was going on until somebody posted over there, and they suggested that some of the people in the Texas area meet at this Austin event. And that's when I said, well, let me contact the person who's hosting this and see if I can bring her speakers onto my show. So sure. I really heard about this from United Paranormal International, and they're they got investigators all over the world in demonology, ghost investigation, and just about everything you can imagine. And I throw a plug out there for them every now and then when I can, for the fact being I think it's a useful tool for people, since so many places are really, they're hemmed into their state or a radius around their state, and few people have gathered the investigators from all around the world onto one site, in other words.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think it's great that, people do look into this. We have to look into it because it's not going away. It's become part of popular culture. It's become somehow cool and trendy, which is just weird. Like I was used to being on the fringe. I was used to being mocked for this stuff. I almost wore it like a badge of honor, and now it's somehow interesting and cool, and people want to talk about it. And you go, wow, where were you, 10 years ago? When I was being shunned at dinner parties and things.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, well, hey, whatever. We all got to stick together. I don't want to fit in. The coolest people never do. But the reality is that if we're going to look into this stuff, if you're going to be in for a dime, maybe it's time to be in for a dollar. If you can't just go at it from one angle, you can't just go at it from it's a UFO, it's an alien, it's a monster, it's this, it's that. If we start with the legend, and legend does not mean made up story, not true. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that whatever it is has grown bigger than itself. And there are living legends, there are sports legends, musical legends. Tiger Woods was his legend was so big he crumbled under the very legend. He crumbled under that. He couldn't handle it, and imploded, and is now, we all saw what the result of that was. So the legend, if we start there and then try to pick it apart and try to get all the way down to the very roots, to that first person witness, to where it happened, why it happened, put it in the context of the life of the witness, put it in the context of the location, we'll start to learn something. We'll start to get somewhere.
Which I know there's people like David Roundtree that's approaching the investigation from a scientific angle, and I wish him all the best. Yeah. I also wanted to mention that I'm going to be putting this show in my archives, and I'm going to have all your books in a little widget from Amazon posted at the bottom of the description of the show here, along with this here show, for people to be able to access it for however long I can maintain this site, in fact, an indefinite period of time. So you're going to be listened to for years to come, because I don't plan on going anywhere soon.
Well, sounds good.
So why don't you tell me before we wrap for the night, though, about your show that you host. It's did you say it's the Oddity Hour or something like that in the
30 odd minutes.
30 odd minutes. I got that wrong, and I apologize.
No, that's all right. 30 odd minutes. Yeah, in fact, the reason I was a minute or two late tonight is because we were filming our show, and I had to get back from the studio. It's a show we've been doing for 2.5 years now, and it's a video show. It's on cable TV, it's on the internet, and we have a lot of fun. It's live, and we talk about all kinds of paranormal topics, and we try to have a little fun with it. You know, our tagline is, if the truth is out there, we will find it, but only by sheer accident. And just kind of take the subject seriously, but not ourselves so much. And it's great fun. We get guests on from all over the world. We have them on via video. Video connections. We have them in the studio, and we get to see the evidence. You know, so all these paranormal radio shows are great. You know, you get to have these awesome discussions, but often, you know, the evidence is visual, and so in our show we can show it. We can show the pictures, the video clips, and people can watch it for free at 30oddminutes.com. You can download it for free on iTunes. You can watch it on various cable systems all over the United States, and it just keeps growing. And we're having fun. Our fans are oddballs. We love them. And we're just going to keep doing it until it's not fun anymore.
Until it's not fun anymore. I like that.
Yeah,
something like that never stops being fun.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, why do you do your show? If you hated it, I imagine you'd stop, right?
Pretty much. I got to tell you, I meet some of the most fascinating people doing this show, and people that have so much to offer, so much to say. There's so much to learn, and you're always hearing something new, and you know that just keeps the interest going.
Sure, and then you talk to people like me, too.
Well, you got a lot of new to offer, too, you know. Actually,
I
thought about trying to reach you 2 years ago, but I didn't
really?
have your contact info. I think I sent an email from your Jeff Belange website, but I never heard back.
Oh, shoot, I think. I'm sorry.
No, it probably it could have went to a junk folder. You know how these automated junk folders work, especially for like AT&T or Yahoo's. Theirs pick up almost anybody and send them whether they belong there or not.
Yeah. No, I hear you. No, it's fun. It's fun doing this. It's fun that people even want to talk to you. You know, I mean, how cool is that? Shoot, you know. But the reality is, I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this for 15 years now, as far as publicly out there, investigating the paranormal, publishing my findings in newspapers and magazines, and I love it. I truly love the pursuit, and I've really grown to love the people that are doing it.
And you're truly a busy man.
Oh my God, I know. And October is just is brutal, which is great. It's better than not being busy. I've got 20 lectures in October alone, and I'll be in Chicago this weekend, and then Central Texas the weekend after, and Massachusetts the weekend after that, and doing schools and libraries and colleges all in between, and it's awesome. It's a great way to see the country. If you're into the paranormal, it's a great way to stop being a cheesy tourist. Go to a city, and instead of looking for the local T-shirt company to buy some cheesy T-shirt, ask the locals where the haunts are. What place is haunted around here? You suddenly stop being that cheesy tourist, and you become interesting, because all legends are local. They belong to a location. They belong to a community who will let you in and tell you about it if they trust you, if they think you're worthy. And when you bridge that gap, when you break in and say, hey, I'm not judging you, I'm just really interested in what you have to say and something that's unique to this location, you're going to get invited to dinner right after that. I mean, you've now bridged lots of gaps, and it's a real bonding experience. It's a great way to go.
Yes, it most certainly is. And, another thing people can do is, like I say, get a copy of this here book, The World's Most Haunted Places, and that'll give you a list of places all around the world. So no matter where you're at, you're likely to find one that's close to you, and you can learn a little something about it before you actually go out there or actually contact the people. They say forewarned is forearmed, and it's better than going in blind. And there's other people that make these same types of books with different places as well. I mean, I don't think anybody can really cover each and every one, at least not without taking several years to do it.
No, of course not. And gosh, I've written 13 books now. And, other books on other haunted places, and some are focused and some are more general directories. And, if I write another 300, I still won't get to all of them. And, which is good. It's comforting. It's kind of like job security. There's still work to be done.
And I'm going to call it night for my work here on this here show. It's already 9:00. And I want to tell you, I've enjoyed having you on, Jeff, and I would really love to have you come back again in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Royce. It's been great talking to you.
It's been great talking to you, and I'm going to save your information, and I hope you save mine, and, don't feel bashful to call me. You got something you want to let my listeners know about or something, let me know, and we'll set it up.
Sounds good. Well, I'll see you in a couple of weeks there in Austin.
I'm going to try to make it. I hope.
Oh, come on.
Well, no, seriously, I got to see if I can get a ride, and I got to see if I can get the money to get in.
All right. Well, we'll save a cold one for you, and have it for you in spirit if you're not there.
I tell you what, if I do come, I'm going to be asking for you.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
I'll be the guy near the bar.
Sounds like a winner to me. And folks, don't forget to come back tomorrow night. I'm going to be having Aaron Houdini on, and we're going to talk about his part in that. And it's going to be a fascinating evening once again, if I quit stuttering. All right, Jeff, thanks a lot. You have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.